All right, folks, great meeting you here. Amazing event. Thank you. I'm Deb. I head marketing at Good Day Software. It's an ERP for Shopify brands running based in the US, basically. And yeah, it's a pleasure to be here and with these amazing folks who are running amazing apps and catering to thousands and thousands of businesses. So just to start with, I would request each one of you to give a short intro about who you are, what you do, and if you have a favorite animal.
I'll start. Okay. My name is Jonathan. I'm from Canada. I've been in the e-commerce space maybe 20 years. I was selling on eBay back in the early 2000s, but I didn't really become an entrepreneur until about 10 years ago when I got into the Shopify space as a service provider. At the time, I'll try to speed it up, sorry. At the time, there was no small task category in the Shopify expert directory, so I saw an opportunity as Shopify was growing to service smaller brands with high quality dev and design. That company was called Hey Carson, ran that for a few years. From that, we built a platform called StoreTasker, which was an experts marketplace, again for Shopify. We sold that in 2019, and this year I was still running Hey Carson, and I transitioned that to another freelancer marketplace. So I've created a competitor to StoreTasker, which is interesting and challenging. Alongside that, I run a platform called App Store Research, which allows Shopify app developers to connect with high-value merchants for user interviews and feedback and insights. So I'm very excited about that project. I'm a dog person, but I got a soft spot for cats.
Me too.
Yeah, I live in Siberia with my wife, who's Russian, although I'm Canadian, and so I wasn't too far away, just straight up 8 hours. I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for...
Do you have huskies?
What's that?
Do you have huskies?
Not yet, it's coming.
Yeah. Hey everyone, I'm Kunal. I got into the Shopify ecosystem back in 2017 when I came on board at Pushall and joined up with Shashank to just to see what happens with the startup, right? The best case scenario when I joined was, okay, it takes at least a year to fail because I would have gotten at least the needed work experience to go apply for certain MBA colleges that I wanted to apply for. And then as some of you might already know, things just took off really well for us, well beyond what any of us at Pushall could have imagined. And that led to the acquisition in 2021. After leaving in 2022, I've been working with a whole lot of apps on the growth side of things, on optimizing the listing, scaling ads, and all that kind of stuff. But 2 years of this, and now there was that itch to do something, to grow my own business this time, and that's where Recheck came in when I was actually looking for a small app to acquire, and just went down the rabbit hole of okay, what this space looks like, and that's how we ended up at the pain point that we're looking to solve. Just like John, I'm also a dog person. I think some of you have met or seen my dogs either on Twitter or at my home, yeah, I guess that's pretty much it.
Amazing.
Hi everyone, good evening. My name is Shweta. I have been in the Shopify ecosystem from almost since 2015. I was first part of an agency, then again the itch of doing something of your own started, where we started a subscription app. We started with a base with the Indian ecosystem, and then we catered mostly on the international waters. Currently, we power more than 5,000 plus merchants in the ecosystem. The problem that we're trying to solve is not only, merchants usually focus on acquiring new customers, but we focus on how you can build long-term relation with these customers. So that's where we focus on and build subscriptions app. Just like others, I'm also a pet parent. I have one dog and 4 stray dogs. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, hi everyone. So Shubham Maishari this side. I am working with website and Shopify ecosystem since 2018. I started my agency in 2018, failed, then joined Return Prime, and I lead Return Prime's customer success and support team. Right now we are serving 6,000 plus merchants, 700 plus reviews, and our rating are 5 stars everywhere. And along with these guys, I'm also a pet parent.
I need to get a dog.
I have a dog.
I'm
Yeah,
missing
that's
out.
it. Thank you.
All right, awesome. Well, everyone's a pet parent except me. I need to get 2 dogs now. So, okay, noted. Well, let's get started, and let's start with the hard one. Sorry, not really. So you folks are at different stages of your companies. You've grown the companies from scratch. I'm guessing all of you have 0 to 1 experiences and maybe 0 to 10 experiences. Like at different stages, right? There are different strategies that are applicable. Talk to me about those. What is the strategy that helps you grow from 0 to 1, 1 to 10, and so on and so forth?
Okay, I'll start. I think, I think it's a journey. A lot of the times you'll see like the success stories, but you won't see all the little things people try, especially early on, like from trying to create a list of ideas of what to tackle to actually executing them. You can fail many, many times, and looking, in the moment, it sort of doesn't feel good to fail, but looking back, it sort of all makes sense. So I think one of the biggest things is just, if you have like a spark for something, instead of asking other people what you should do, create that list of what's possible, what you're good at, what the cross section of what makes you unique as an individual. We all have that. Like we've studied something, or we've worked in a unique industry, and that makes us like different or special. So starting from that, I think is a good start. And then as far as strategies, I'm a big believer in like sharing content, sharing your ideas. It's not everyone's style to go on LinkedIn and Twitter and share so openly, and it's actually a skill. But there are different mediums, and building an audience, around that industry or around that idea is just like a phenomenal way to start and make contacts. And sharing that idea and getting those first customers, I think that's a good strategy.
Yeah, the Shopify App Store, I feel any new app is going to have this chicken and egg problem, that the one thing you need to grow on the App Store organically is going to be reviews. Assuming you're not like some really big like VC funded company who can just spend throw money at like salespeople and partnerships and hosting events and sponsoring things. The idea is like you want to figure out like how to grow organically, and the best thing for that is reviews. And you can't get reviews until you get some users, and you can't get a ton of users until you get some reviews. So how do you break out of that loop? So like 7 years back, when like at Pushall, when we were having a similar issue, John's community was like so like active at that time, and one of the most common questions was, what specific theme is this store using, or what set of apps is this store using? So Shashank at that time, just like I think in the space of like a day or two, he just like created like two websites, like Watch Store theme and Watch Store app, which is just you enter the URL of like any Shopify store, and it's gonna like show you the theme information or the app information. And we just had like a tiny banner at the bottom that says like powered by Pushall, and then that like over the years, like it just like brought so much traffic over to like our main listing itself. So even now we have something similar like in the pipeline with Recheck, where we have a couple of like side project ideas in mind, which we are going to pick up very soon. But short of that, it's just about like figuring out like where to reach users, and that can be anywhere from like Facebook communities, Slack communities. There's just like no shortage of these. There's the Shopify forums as well. So if you already have an app that you have made, start looking for like specific keywords related to your app, and like start looking for like specific pain points that people are searching related to your app, and start responding to those posts. It doesn't matter if it's like 2 months old, 3 months old. These like forums or groups will always like start surfacing those conversations to like the recent like posts or updates. So that's one way where you can try getting some visibility.
I think John and Kunal already answered the complete question. Just to add, for anyone who is building something in the initial stage, what we usually did, we started focusing more on, just like Kunal and John mentioned, we focus more on the organic thing, the review part. Make your support super flexible. Your product should be DIY. So the way where we focused on was more on product. We focused on the process where anyone who installs the app can instantly start with subscriptions within seconds. So that was the first thing. Secondly, you can divide based on the initial stage should always be focusing on the community also, because the community is somewhere which will power you and talk about you. Because early stage startups usually do not have enough money to spend. So try to use organic channels, which will help you increase your reviews as well as your your word of mouth without having too much of investment done. Similarly, when it moves to a growth stage or a scaling stage, then the difference begins. When in growth stage, you can start focusing more on platforms like partnerships, build your partner community strong. Something on those lines could probably help you increase more.
So these guys left nothing for me, but still I have a few points. That in the initial stage, first you should focus on your product, right? If your product is solid and a few customers start using it, the word of mouth will give you more merchants, right? Then Shopify community, if I talk about, so there is a portal of Shopify community where people post their queries. You should keep answering them. That also gives eyeball to small level merchants who can help you then find your product market fit. And yeah, rest reviews, partners, and other strategies should be there. The one more that I have apart from the one that they have mentioned is list on all the listing websites. Wherever you can, just get the eyeballs. So whenever someone will search something, they can see you there as well. So yeah, that is.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, those were some great points, and I'm going to pull the thread on some of those. Now, I've been here for a while, and I've been talking to a lot of app developers here, and everyone suggests that you should start at the App Store. I disagree, but why? I'll tell you, because there are like multiple channels, and you should diversify, and obviously, as Kunal knows, ads are very expensive. So how do you go beyond, look, I'm looking for tactical answers. How do you go beyond the App Store, the ads, the reviews? How do you actually, let's say, DTC Twitter is a big thing. I know because I launched Numero and we got 40 demos in like 8 weeks. So it's a huge thing. Now, how do you leverage those channels? So what are your thoughts on that? And let's start with Shubham this time.
Yeah, so Shopify ads, they definitely help you to start with, right? They will take a lot of money, and for us specifically, it didn't work that much. What worked for us, apart from Shopify App Store, the partnership model. Whenever you are going ahead with a partner, if you are generating some value for them, that works very well. Going deeper with partnership integrations, the tech integrations, that will get you merchants without spending much amount. And then you can leverage that partnership model with webinars, such kind of events, where you can call out merchants as well. So with collaboration with other partners, other agency partners, you will definitely get merchants with a good number of sales. Yeah.
I think when it comes to App Store, I would not be the right person because we did not explore much on that part. What we basically focused on was two other things. One is SEO part. When I say SEO, we started working on keywords. So, for example, people who install in our subscription app, they do not write subscription to search the words. They use keywords like abonnements, recurring. So we started working on SEO angle where we started making specific landing pages related to what problems we are solving, which specific industry problems we are solving. And that basically also gave us a lot of installs and demo calls because they first understand let's say, for example, if someone wants to use a subscription app at coffee industry, is there any specific use case that we are solving separately for coffee merchants only? And that basically gives them more insights and basically gives them the kick to book a demo call or initiate a live chat to start having more conversation, understand how they can instantly install the app and go live with you. So that's something.
I would say from my end, I personally do not have a ton of experience in terms of like growing through like Twitter or LinkedIn. That's something like I'm kind of like following the model of like some people who I see being like very active, both like agency owners and app devs. So for example, Gil Greenberg is like super famous now, right? Like he, over the years, he was essentially just like live tweeting his way to like building checkout blogs. And it's, maybe not like day one, month one, like, month six, but like at some point that like switch flips where like enough people have kept like seeing that content, and at a certain point of time maybe you ship that specific feature, maybe you show a specific screenshot of the app, or like you mention a specific keyword and it just like hits their feed, and or maybe that's when they have that problem and they realize, hey, I've been seeing this specific app or this specific person continue posting about like a certain thing for so long, so let me just go explore what that is. So I would say, like, while I have not cracked that channel myself, there are some really great people whose model I'll be following, and like that's the best what I could recommend.
So I don't have an app in the App Store right now, but if I did, I think, and I had like limited, limited funds to get attention. I'm very big on community. I just think like being part of communities is just like there are multiple like advantages to it, and I think right now there aren't that many places where merchants are active, and I would say Shopify has not done the best job with their community forums, but like in the past couple years, I've seen it get a little bit better. And if I was an app developer just getting started, and I had some experience, I had something that made me different or unique or experienced with merchants, I'd go into those forums and just answer everything that I possibly could, whether it was related to my app or not, with grace and brevity and some authority. And I think that I have spoken to a few app developers who have done that, and you get that first trickle of users and attention, and they gamify it also, so you kind of feel like you're stacking some reputation on the forums. But I really think it's the best free place. There are a bunch of paid communities for merchants where they allow app developers to sponsor, and then you can get in there, but the higher the value, the more expensive it is. So that's a tactical approach.
Yeah, makes sense. Let me just summarize. So one, build in public, right? That's the term you want to use. You want to build in public, you want to show your apps, you want to show what you're building. By the way, the one Kunal mentioned, the app Gil, he actually sold his app to Shopify. So that's a huge achievement, I would say. And second is communities. There are like tons of free communities, paid communities, as John stated. Go ahead and just bang answers. That's how you make yourself known. Awesome. So I wanna dive a little deeper into the partnerships, and why I'll say that, because apps like Gorgias, Klaviyo, and PostScript, I know this because I speak to a lot of them. Like about 30% of their revenue comes through partnerships, right? And not just integrations. So Shubham touched upon integrations. Integrations is one part. Agency partnerships. I would love to understand your experience in agency partnerships and integrations, and how do you leverage that? Like, how do you actually make them, make them give you clients, right? Like, how do you acquire? How is it an acquisition channel?
Yeah. So when we started, apart from running ads on Shopify App Store and the marketing channels like Facebook, Insta, LinkedIn, we cracked few partnerships with the one that suits our model of business, like logistics partners, then 3PL partners, WMS partners, right? And we were the one of the first apps in India when it comes to return, who started mobile app integration and then 3PL integration, and that helped us a lot. So our partners, when we went to them, we showed them the value that if you join us as a partner, we will generate some revenue stream for you as well. Like, let's say we have a notification template, right? We do not edit it on our own. We allow our partners to do that so that they can also generate a revenue stream out of that after doing that customization. While we can do it, but we choose not to do it, right? So if you are working neck to neck with your partner and giving them benefits, apart from not just doing some marketing activities with them, like shouting out on LinkedIn, that is something everyone is doing, right? And why the partner will give you the clients? Why he will stay with you if he's not getting the benefit out of it? So it should be a win-win situation for both. While he's referring partner to you, you should try to give him the revenue generation stream apart from the general referral you do. So that is what worked for us in starting years of Return Prime, and now we got acquired. So.
Can I add something to that? I think it's easy to look at Gorgeous and Klaviyo and all these big companies running powerful partnership programs. But the truth is, like, most Shopify app teams are just not there. And I worked for a service company, so I've partnered with app companies. And the best partnerships have always been the ones where we felt, as a service company, we were one of very few partners, but where they were going really deep with us on the partnership. So as you're getting started exploring partnerships, probably a good idea is to identify 3, 4 maximum, like, agency partners that are open to you. Assuming you have a good product, like a product ready, approach these agencies and build really deep relationships with fewer instead of trying to go wide. I see a lot of mid-level app companies going way too wide, like they're trying to bring in as many agency partners as they can. And as a service, as a company, as an agency, I ended up being a link on their directory. Yep. And I started saying yes to those because I would get a backlink for SEO. And it didn't evolve into anything. So go deep with fewer partners.
Follow-up question on that. How do you go deep? What's the process or tactics?
You mean, like,
how do you go deep? Like, how do you build a deeper
okay,
relationship?
so many of us have been there. You connect with a partner, potential partner. You have one call, and then nothing happens after. I think the trick is to approach partnerships like you're the one that's going to give more first. You're the one that's going to give 80%. You're the one that's going to give the first lead. You're the one that's going to do the thing first, and then continue those conversations over time, because we've all been there. You have one call, you never have another call, nothing happens. But if you target fewer partners, it's easier to follow up and do those things effectively.
Makes sense. Kunal?
Yeah, total agreement with John here, because even with, like, my experience in Pushal, one of the realizations we saw towards the end was, like, a handful of partners were contributing, like, the most number of leads as well as the most amount of referred revenue. So that 80-20 rule, or like even 90-10 rule, like, really holds up here. With respect to partnerships, like, most app devs I talk to, I've seen there is, like, one very like common offer at play, which is, hey, I'm going to give you a 20% commission. The problem with this is, as you target a bigger sized agency who's going to be working with, like, even bigger and bigger, like, Shopify Plus brands, understand that the typical retainer of this agency, just to do, like, even like 10, 15, 20 hours of work a month, is going to be somewhere in the ballpark of like $3,000-4,000 a month. Even if you're, let's say, have a paid plan for like $500 a month, on which you pay 20% commission to the partner, that partner is going to have to refer 30 to 40 brands to even make one retainer's worth of commission from you on a monthly basis. And that is simply not what they are going to be interested in. So what matters in the end for them is, can you generate new business for them? So that could either come in the form of, can you send them a lead who they haven't worked with before? Or if you look at companies like Yotpo, Klaviyo, and so on, one of the biggest reasons why partners are going to send them leads is because not only are they going to get the commission, but they will be able to sell their, like, email marketing, SMS marketing services, and so on. So can they make more money from their existing clients? So either way, you have to figure out, like, how are you actually going to drive meaningful business for them other than just a 20% commission?
I think all the three of you have answered the question quite clearly, that it's better not to only focus on affiliate marketing, but try to focus more on how deep you can build a relationship with the partners. May it be only 5 partners, but make sure that 5 partners are getting that benefit, should be a focus. So, yeah.
Just a super quick add-on point here to, like, what John said about keeping them engaged. One of the things that we are doing right now with Recheck as well, because we have some partners on board, not every single person has referred someone yet probably due to like BFCM madness going on. But as and when we keep shipping new features, every couple of weeks or so, we try sending them an update saying that, hey, this is new. What do you think about this? You might not always get a response, but just the fact that you're going to be active all the time, sharing updates about like, hey, this is something like new that got launched. We're planning to build this. Even just like sharing mockups, even if it's not like a fully fleshed out feature yet, that is something that over a period of time, they're going to notice like how active you are just in keeping that relationship alive. And when the right opportunity comes along for you to be able to refer a lead, then or for them to refer something back to you, it becomes a lot easier than them you just doing like one demo call with them and just sharing like a gigantic list of like documents and help docs for them to go through, which they probably are just not going to remember past like the first couple of hours after the demo. So, yeah.
Love that. Love that. So here's a question which is not directly related to acquisition, but I think it's very interesting because without this, acquisition really doesn't matter. So one is like the question around is like, how do you build a good product, right? And good product requires good research. So how do you do the essential research and how do you define an ICP and how do you go after it? We'd love to understand from John, like, because you've been working in this space actively and your new company is doing that. So, well, talk to me about it.
Okay, well, thanks. I'll be the first to admit I've built a lot of things without talking to people first and without validating the idea. I think as entrepreneurs and builders, you have this light inside of you or this instinct that is really valuable, but it can also lead you down the wrong path. And admittedly, I've been sent down that path a few times, and it's a little, it hurts. It hurts when you're wrong. But I think you see it coming up now. Identifying who your customers are, I think that comes from the type of product that you're going to build, which comes from where you have an advantage in the marketplace. And I mentioned it earlier, we all have something unique. We have like a pollination of our skills and experience that makes us unique, and the opportunity that we chase should be aligned with that. But then that will help you identify your ideal clients. And then from there, it's just having conversations with people, having like a hypothesis of why this is a good idea, why this is going to work, and then following through with conversations, interviews it could be merchants, it could be agencies, just to further validate those ideas. And those are hard conversations to have. Like, it's time consuming to talk to people, but it's rewarding. And it shouldn't just happen at the beginning of your journey. You should be talking to your customers, but you should also be talking to your market throughout the entire lifetime of your business, so that you're discovering new things and you're aware. You're not in. Another mistake people make around research is they only take feedback from their paying customers, and they're not looking outside of that silo to, discover new directions or even speak to their competitors' users. So I think this is a mistake I see because it's cheap and it's easy, right? You're getting feedback through your live chat, intercom, and it's valuable because it's something to act on and something your paid users are asking you for. But yeah, talking to customers and talking to the market is just something that shouldn't stop.
I'd love to understand from you three, because you're right now building apps, and how are you engaging with customers or potential customers? What's your strategy? What's your process?
We're moving on from the ICP thing. Sorry. Is it still related to the ICP question? Okay, so, look, as I mentioned earlier on, the way Recheck came about was I was looking for an app to acquire. It didn't really make sense to acquire that, but that's what led me down that research rabbit hole of okay, what else is there in the space? What opportunities are there for to either club certain features together, look at the existing apps, see what their negative reviews are saying, look up what stores are actually leaving those negative reviews and even the positive ones. And there's a pretty useful extension called Stored Leads. A lot of folks here might be familiar with it. So if you have an account on that, just clicking that is going to show you a lot of useful information about the store, like their social media following, which could give you some sense of scale. It also shows you like some sales numbers and that kind of things, but it's a hit and a miss with respect to like how accurate it is. But regardless, you get a fair sense of like what category of users are essentially looking for a solution like that. And that kind of becomes like my entry point for thinking about like just getting a better or like the initial understanding of who could my target customer be. The next step I had done for like Recheck was actually to use App Store research and target those kinds of users I found in my initial research. The only thing I had was mock-up, like a front-end mock-up, and the way the interviews went was just start off with a very open-ended line of questioning and then keep drilling down and drilling down and drilling down into like specific pain points. And over the course of a few interviews itself, you're going to start seeing like some patterns emerging and you getting a clearer idea of like is the hypothesis you have, is that even true, or does that need to be changed in a certain way? And once you start getting a clearer idea of like who your ICP is, you even have a clearer idea of like what messaging you are going to need both on your website, in your emails, on your support chats, inside your app itself, to get people to understand like what the problem statement is, how your app helps in solving that, and so on. So yeah.
I think what I believe is we focused more on the product part. While we're doing research, the one thing that was very common was just to understand what is the problem that they are facing across, because that's where is your niche, right? And that's where you start focusing when you are in an early stage format. When you move to a growth stage, then you already have a set of merchants through which you can build your ICP. From there, then you understand, like Kunal already mentioned, that from there you actually understand what kind of merchants are actually using you and have been there in your, probably you can do some research, or you can do some inside data drilling based on what kind of cohorts you have, which kind of merchants have stayed with you for a longer period of time. So you start focusing on those kind of industry specific, depending on what business you are into. And the second part is also something that we also worked with was App Store research. We tried to understand what the existing merchants are facing. Thanks to John for building that. I think that really helped a lot of app partners in the ecosystem to understand what is the key issue in the ecosystem regarding their specific app. So that also helps you understand what your ICP is, and basically it helps you validates with your current merchant base. Are you trying to solve the similar kind of problem? So example, it will be different from Shopify Plus to Shopify Basic or Advanced. So you need to understand first and drill down all the data pointers that you have currently and take out the data and do some validations across with your platforms like App Store Research to give yourself some validation. So yeah, that should be the one.
Yeah, so more or less, according to me, you can create a MVP of the product that you have in your mind, right? And then start asking why to everyone that you see, right? Because in the ecosystem, everyone knows what problems are going, more or less, right? They talk daily basis with a lot of people on daily basis. So that is the first thing. Second, once you have the idea, you can try to search on Shopify communities, groups like what you have created, Jonathan. Then App Store research is there. In Shopify community, you can search what are the actual problem related to your product that you are building. You can search the keywords. If let's say return, you can search return. What are the common problems people are facing? Does that align with your product? Then create persona of different type of brands plus advanced basic, and then take help of tools like App Store research, or maybe you can shoot out cold email to the merchants, rewarding them with something which can help you out. I mean, only merchants can help you out with the actual product that you are going to build with the features.
Love that, love that. Well, thank you, John, for building this. This is amazing. Nobody had this before. So, well, you're doing like a room full of people a big favor. Okay, so let's get a little more tactical. Everyone's listing on the App Store, so you kind of cannot get away with it. You have to have an App Store listing. Let's talk about the best practices. What have you seen so far are the best practices that you, like, let's say the top 3 or top 5 that you must follow while you're listing your app? Be it copy, be it from a design perspective. We're not talking about BFS, but generally just the listing side. Talk to me about it. We should start with Sweta.
In what we believe is, it's working, right? So what we believe is, yeah, the first and foremost thing is do not throw jargons on your app store research. That's something that I've found common. Do not throw jargons because your end merchants are not aware of those jargons. They use very simple words. Like I mentioned earlier also, they do not use subscription as such. They use recurring or abonnements, how the auto payment will happen. Something like that is what they use. Like the smallest keywords, the simplest keywords. Try to have those in your listing first. Second is add very clear images of your product, what your product features are, what are they trying to solve, if they install the app, what are the steps they can do, they can go by that. The third part is you can also add a testimonial from your merchants, because any merchant who actually starts using your app, they will look for reviews, right? When the first page itself will have a video, that itself gives a validation, okay, this app has already been used by such industries, and that gives a lot of validation for your end merchants to instantly install the app rather than moving to a demo store first. So you can have these kind of things added. And the fourth part would be, like Alex already mentioned, pricing. Keep it very clear, so they are aware what they are doing, and if there is any offer running, anything, just reach out to their support. I think every app store now have a live chat. You can reach out to the support, understand what they are doing. If there's a free app, what is the free listing, up till what limit it is. So I think that's what, as according to me.
Yeah, so clear pictures, clear video of your product, which can be, that should clear the complete product itself, right? When a merchant is coming to App Store listing, he will spend 1 or 2 minutes to check the app first. If he can see that it is going to help him, then he will go ahead, right? So clear pictures, clear description with what you are offering. Use the words that your merchants are using, right? As Shweta mentioned, we call it order return because people search for order return instead of return prime or something. So our focus is more on those keywords. Then your demo store. So the demo store is the main part that I believe which can lead to more organic lead generation for you. The demo store should be so easy to use. It should be filled with all the features which are your ICP or which are your USP. That should be there. And yeah, less than that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we could probably have like an hour-long conversation on the listing optimization, but other than the things that Shubham and Shweta have mentioned, I think a lot of app devs do not know that there is an informational hierarchy in the App Store listing, which means the title has the most weightage if you have any keywords in there, then the subtitle, then the introduction, then details, and then those 5 bullet point features. So which means if, like, comparing two apps with all things being equal, if a specific keyword like the app A has it in their title versus app B only has it in their subtitle, even if app A has fewer reviews, it's much more likely that app A is going to rank higher than app B. So that's something to keep in mind, that the most important keywords for you which drive the most traffic have to be higher up in your hierarchy. The second thing is keyword stuffing does not work on the App Store listing anymore. So there is a certain point after which just adding more keywords, even if you're adding them in like the prime spots, like the title, subtitle, or introduction, they are just not going to move your ranking anymore. This is where you have to do a little bit of testing, because the moment you hit save on any changes to your App Store listing, it instantaneously updates the rankings. So just quickly check what the new ranking is for that keyword, and if it hasn't moved, that's your chance to then go find like what the next best keyword for you is, and then try adding that in the listing and updating your ranking that way. So that's a couple of quick tips. And the other is, I think you already mentioned that the hero image, especially for your listing, that needs to have as less text as possible and as readable as possible without the person having to click the image to open and really be able to understand or like be able to read what is written in that, because not everyone is going to do that. So if you have a really solid screenshot of your app, highlight the, instead of a full page screenshot, highlight one specific part of the screenshot which you feel is the hero feature, and use a few words of text in really big font to even like write it out. So yeah, those are the quick tips on that.
Love that. John, any last pointers?
Yeah, I got one thing just from a business perspective is I think that don't underestimate the power of investing and creating a really thoughtful brand experience for your customers. We see too many developers sort of skip that, and I think it's if you think of the most impressive Shopify apps right now in your mind, there's a strong brand tied to it. So yeah.
Love that. And I'll just add, when you're creating the images, please don't make it in Canva, hire a designer. They look awful in Canva, just FYI, because you're competing against 10 different competitors, so, and they definitely have a designer. Awesome. So we are going to wrap this up, but last and final question. Should you raise funds or should you bootstrap? That's the age-old question, and it's a fun one. I've worked with both. I prefer funds because, like, I'm a marketing guy. I would love my budget, but you folks are operators. Talk to me about it. John.
You want me to go? Okay. Well, I'm a big advocate of bootstrapping until you actually have something significant and something of like mass interest. But that's my opinion. I think everybody's different. Everybody has a different objective. But I'm a big fan of seeing, you know, especially in our industry where getting to venture level is really difficult. I like to see. I admire those of you that are bootstrapping and making stuff happen and creating value for the marketplace. I just, that's where my heart is. I really like that approach.
Yeah, I might be biased because, I mean, Pushal had a really great result with us bootstrapping it, and that's pretty much the same route we're going down with Recheck as well. But there's also the reality that not everyone is going to be in a position to be able to bootstrap for longer than a certain period of time, especially if your app is not going to be generating revenue. In those cases, instead of raising VC funds, I would still suggest, if there is potential for you to raise like a small like seed round from like friends and family without having to like dilute too much of your equity, because if you go to a VC before you have any concrete results, you probably are going to end up diluting a lot more of your equity for a lot less money as compared to just like potentially just with the same product, just waiting a year, getting more customers, getting more revenue, and then raising funds. So yeah.
So I'm a little biased again. We are bootstrap, so we believe in that. It's definitely a perspective, I would say, because when it comes to funded companies, it's like a different kind of problem you're trying to solve. For example, you think of Uber. Uber is a very different category that they solve that, which included a funding. So the category is very different, so you can think of funding. For people who are looking to start something in the ecosystem, I think Bootstrap gives you a lot of fun to start with, because you know that there is a different kind of itch in yourself, because you know that you have to justify a certain level of revenue as well to your own self. That's something. And for right now, earlier there was no such different apps, I would say, or fund members. But right now, I think there is one thing which is called Epsi Fund that you can use for certain apps who are looking or trying to start the ecosystem, start with a single member team and do not have a lot of fun. But you can actually talk to Alex and understand how Epsi Fund can basically leverage in this initial stage of your business. So yeah.
Love that. Shout out to Alex.
So, according to me, it depends on person to person, right? If you have any idea which can disrupt the market, right, you will need funds. Without the funds, you will not be able to go crazy on that. You will not be able to pull out the growth. But if you go bootstrapped, you will have a lot of control on the product. You will have a lot of control on all the decisions that you make. You can make it very faster than being with a VC, right? And slow and steady growth will take you to the profitability verse, and then you can go for the growth where you can scale to the heights. So yeah, bootstrap from me.
Love that. Sorry, I lost. But, I hope you liked the session, and I hope we answered. Do we have time for Q&A? Yeah. Questions, folks? If you have any questions, you have experts here who have been building for years. And me.
Sorry, quick question to Jonathan. So you have created two different platforms which aim at roughly the same thing. One of them you have sold some time ago, and now you are opening another product. What are the differences, and how? What was the rationale between starting the second one? Did you see some pain points that the other platforms, the StoreTasker, I believe, did not solve?
Yeah. Okay. It's a good question. First of all, I'm often doing multiple things. It's just who I am, and I've just accepted that. So that's the first thing. I accept myself. I sold StoreTasker, and I still had a service company called Hey Carson. And Hey Carson was more of a traditional agency model, and I was running that for over 9 years, and the fire inside me to keep running that started to extinguish. I also observed the platform that I sold. We sold it to a competitor who actually rolled their brand into StoreTasker, and the StoreTasker brand lived on, which I'm very happy about. But I started to get some feedback from what they were doing, how they were doing it. Nothing wrong, just different than what I would have done with it. And maybe I sold it too early. So maybe I sold it a little bit too early, so I still have this fire to do things that I didn't accomplish with it, and that didn't end up going that way. Plus, it's a platform which is like a product, and I'm much more drawn for the next 5-10 years of my life to be working on a product instead of a service company. And the differences will be, one of the things that made StoreTasker so valuable or so interesting was the community aspect to it. And I feel this got lost a little bit, and I want to bring that back in like a new way, and I have some ideas there. So thanks for asking the question, yeah.
Love that. I would love to understand those ideas, but off mic.
Any more questions? No hands? No questions?
No more marketing questions?
Oh,
Yeah, hi. I want to ask, because in Shopify, generally the app ticket size per merchant, it is very small, $5, $10, $15, something like that. So you have to have at least a few hundred merchant installations to get to a significant revenue so that you can manage the team or justify the expenses and so on and so forth. But when you reach a few hundred or few thousand installations, you also have to be very efficient, not just from the tech standpoint, that the server cost, everything, but also from the support processes and various other things. You cannot afford a very big team because, again, the revenue size is very small. So how do you plan upfront at the starting phase that you can scale with a very efficient process in all the different aspects?
Do you have the question for someone in particular, or anyone can
Anyone.
answer? Okay.
I would say the easiest and the most difficult answer at the same time is you have to figure out how you can raise your prices. Because if let's say you have set a certain price of let's say $5, $10, $15 today, even if 2 years from now, if you're still offering the same price but way more features in those prices, you're not doing justice to yourself. So you have to figure out how to come up with newer tiers or restructure the existing pricing plans to just make it such that you're able to get more, because you are delivering more value, right? So it's unfair that you are not getting that value back in return. So honestly, that's, like I said, the easiest and the most difficult answer, which is where pretty much everything, anything under the umbrella of expenses gets taken care of if you can figure out how to do that.
Love that. I would also love to add something, because I work for Good Day and our average ticket price is $1,500 per month. So number one thing you should do is don't start selling your app at $10. No matter how small or big the feature is, I can assure you it's a pure market thing. So if you're selling in the US, they have much higher purchasing power. So you can sell it at 5 times the price, usually. The second thing is, if your app is just doing one thing, obviously you cannot charge a lot, but check in the market what they are charging. So for instance, like our competitor is NetSuite. And NetSuite, it takes like 6 months implementation time and hundreds of thousands of dollars. So compared to that, when we are charging like $1,500 per month, it's peanuts. So do your market research and see how you can leverage that to charge higher, as Kunal said. But you have to charge higher. Don't get stuck in the loop of $5 ads. If anyone else has to add something, please go ahead.
So you said that in later stage you will have to include more support team and other things as well, right? So there are a lot of things which can be automated now. Let's say support, you make use of apps, your chat system, it can automate most of the answer for you. You can create videos, articles which can define a problem and solution itself. So you will not need many people to handle your support ideally. So.
Hi guys, lovely talk so far. So I have a question for the whole panel. A lot of new developers, especially those who bootstrap, end up spamming a lot of places and they assume that it's marketing. So what are some common trends that you have seen that come across as spam from young new time developers and entrepreneurs, and how can that be avoided?
So yeah, I've seen this. I ran a Facebook group for merchants where we had developers coming in, and yeah, I think they think it's marketing, and it's okay. It's like everybody's starting somewhere, but I think the rule of thumb when you're posting on the internet is like at the start, if you're in forums or if you're in Facebook groups, is like really help selflessly 20 times. For every one time you're gonna mention, so do it 20 times before you even mention anything about what you're doing. As you do that, people are just gonna click your profile and they're gonna see like, oh, who's this person like helping generously? Who's this person? Versus the opposite, where it's like, go across 20 different communities and like drop your, I want feedback. My app just got published. Can I have some feedback? Which is not helping anybody in the community. So I think that like 10 to 1 or 20 to 1 is like the ratio of that I recommend. Yeah.
I would like to add something. So I am admin at like 5 different communities, all very e-commerce brand focused, not app developers. And I've seen app developers come there and they're frankly annoying, right? Like the way they would present themselves, you're not doing yourself a justice, right? So the way to do that is exactly what John mentioned. Give 100% value. There are like people asking tons of questions there. If you can provide value, great. And if your app actually solves that, please include it. Otherwise, don't. Like also in communities, this is very specific, where you always have a promotion channel. Use that to promote whatever the hell you want. Don't go about spamming the other channels because then you get banned. So.
Any more questions? Yeah. No. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Just a round of applause for them.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Shubham. Thank you, Shweta, Kunal, John, and of course, Deb, for the panel. Now we are done with all of our talking segments, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining us and coming to the event. It would not have been possible without you. We just have one more request. We just want to take like one huge group photo, if it's possible. Just go out in the gallery area and we'll just take like one giant group picture so that we can create a giant FOMO on the social media. And thank you everyone for showing up. I hope you liked the talks.
Thank you.
And
Thank
thanks
you,
so much.
everyone.